Well, hi, good afternoon, everyone. It's Richard Wade from ruralcrimes.com. And we want to do a very brief live streams going out to my Rural Crime and Farm Safety YouTube channel. And it's also zooming across to LinkedIn at the same time. It's 15th of October, 2024. So I've got a couple of things to talk about regarding rural crime. I'm going to keep this nice and brief. The first one is what's been going on in the background with ruralcrimes.com. So ruralcrimes.com is a website that's currently live, and you can go on there and have a look around. It's more of a landing page, really. In the background, the plans to develop a fully functional, smart rural crimes website are underway. So work is being done now to develop a proper website where there's going to be lots of information, access to our training course, which I'll talk about a little bit more in a moment. But then more importantly, an opportunity for community engagement. So people with a real vested interest in rural crime prevention and reduction can get together and air views and experiences and learning points. And one thing I want to mention right at the get-go here regarding rural crime, I mentioned this on the last video I did. So I looked back about 8 or 9 years and checked all the statistics, and you know, it makes for really bad reading because they don't really change. So year on year, pretty much every year, so around what, 48-50 million quid that we know of. So that's reported rural crime for starters. A lot of it goes underreported, and there's a lot of research, not just from the UK but globally, from Ireland, from Australia as well, and here in the UK included. A lot of research amongst the rural community, farmers, agriculture, landed estate owners. People don't bother reporting rural crimes. A lot of it goes unreported. Now, that might be for a couple of reasons. One, they might not be insured. So what's the point in getting a crime number for something that's you're not going to need a crime number to claim for? But more importantly, and this is borne out in research, documented research that I refer to on my various feeds and ruralcrimes.com, people have a bit of a reluctance to report rural crime to the police. Now, that's a bit of a bad state of affairs. I'm not knocking the police. They do a fantastic job, and I'm linked in and I work closely with police forces around the UK. And given the resources and the time and the pure geographical magnitude of what they're dealing with, it's a tough gig. Police in rural areas is really tough. However, it's important that regardless of the crime that's been committed and the magnitude of that crime, it's important that we do report it to our local police forces, because if we don't report it, it's not going to get any resources allocated to it. Now, I had a discussion recently here in Newcastle. I hope you don't mind me mentioning the UK. I had a chat with Kate Tudor from Durham University, and during her research, one of the things that comes out is that people have to report rural crime for it to get allocated the time and resources that it needs for the police forces to take the appropriate action. So it's really important, if you are the victim of a crime or you suspect criminal activity is about to occur, you know, you see suspicious activity in or around your land, then you really need to get it reported. Things can be done about it. It's rural crime is it's fighting, it's in competition with other crimes. So police resources are minimal and can only be allocated as we're required, and most importantly in the pursuance of crime prevention. So if we're up against rural crimes fighting against sexual exploitation, drug crime, gun crime, burglaries, all of those other crimes that warrant police resources, rural crime is fighting against those. So the more that we report it and get it on the radar, the more likely we are to gain some traction within the police forces. But let's not knock our police forces. They're doing a fantastic job given the resources that they've got. By the way, if you're watching this, and we've got people watching live now, if you want to interact, if you're on the YouTube channel or you're on LinkedIn, on this screen here, on my right hand side, I can see any comments that you may wish to make. And also, if you're interested, I'm going to be on for about another 5 minutes. You're more than welcome to come and join me. If you're interested, send me a message and I'll send you a link and you can pop into the studio and say hello. But I say I'm only going to be on for about the next 5 minutes. Anyway, the main purpose of this is twofold. One, to have that little preamble, one, to get me on your radar for rural crime. And the other one is to mention the National Rural Crime Network Action Week, which is coming up shortly between the 21st and the 25th of October 2024. Let me bring in their website. I'm sure they're not going to mind me promoting their website for sure. So currently on the National Rural Crime Network website, let me give that some prominence. They are promoting national crime prevention. Obviously, National Rural Crime Network is all about information and guidance and stopping rural crime in its tracks. And you can see the ticker tape buzzing across here. Let's click that. And what we find is that there's many resources available to you there. And I would urge you to go and have a look around, get engaged in this week. I'm going to talk about something that I'm going to be promoting in a moment, which will result in direct action for farmers and estate owners and people at risk, and we'll come on to that. But this is brilliant information, all about crime, what's going on. You can download all of these resources and documents. You can have a look at the annual plan, but more importantly, you can go to the rural crime carousel, what's going on, and here you've got the 10-point plan. So I would urge you to go and have a look around there. That's the National Rural Crime Network website, which you can see flashing across your screen there. And it's nationalruralcrimenetwork.net, which is where you'll find that. I'll put a link in my show notes shortly. So if I just close that for the moment, make yourself into full screen. What else is going on then? So I've done a course. I've rewritten my online rural crime prevention course. Now, the course has been test driven currently. We've got a few people in New Zealand, Australia, here in the UK, who are doing the course. Some have completed it already. I've had some great feedback, and those who have done that, thank you. I really appreciate it. And the people who have kindly agreed to test drive the course for me are prominent in rural crime and criminology research and prevention and lecturing. So these are people who really know their stuff. And I've had some great feedback that has prompted me to actually change the content of the course and make it more relevant to the wider audience. So keep an eye out for my rural crime prevention course. It's online, it's fully online, and it's a very, very cost-effectively priced item. You log on, it's fully automated course, and it takes you through a journey of rural crime across the globe, because this obviously isn't just a UK issue, it's a global matter. There's various nuances around the world in how the crimes are perpetrated, what the criminals get up to, but ultimately it's the same stuff around the globe, isn't it? It's often highly organized, very well funded groups, criminal gangs often operating around the world, getting into other people's land and property and stealing their goods, doing various things with them with the ultimate aim of selling them on, or re-engineering them, or breaking them down into spare parts, whatever it might be, and then selling them on to other people. And of course, you and I and our customers, we become the victim. We get violated, we get terrorized, our families might get terrorized. You might have saw the video I did recently where the elderly gentleman disturbed the criminals in action. They'd gone into his property. It's on the channel. You can watch the video. I do a bit of commentary over the top of it. He disturbs them in the night. They've already attached his main gates to a vehicle and ripped the gates off. Then they try and break into his ISO container where he's got various items. And that's the point where the alarm goes off. He then comes running out of his bedroom with a torch in his underpants, an elderly gentleman. And sadly, he got a really good beating. And he's very lucky that it didn't go any further. And I do discuss in the commentary of that video, you know, if there's a crime in action, don't go out and tackle rural criminals. Just stay in the comfort of your own property, get your doors and your windows locked, and get the police called and report it as quickly as possible. So this rural crime course then takes you through the journey of what rural crime is all about, It will discuss the modus operandi. How do the criminals operate? What do they look for, more importantly? And what they look for, the information in the course is based upon, not my interviews, but research interviews that have taken place with real criminals, people who have been rural criminals, have been caught, sometimes put in prison, or sometimes reformed characters who have told us how they operate, what they look for, what makes you and I a more easy target, more vulnerable to their antics. And the course will take you through that. And of course, once you're on with that information, that you then can do something about it and make yourself less attractive to the criminals and less likely to become their next victim. So then we talk about crime prevention, crime reduction in and around your property. We look at all of the main aspects of security, from physical security to community security, and other measures that we can implement to protect you and your family and your community on a wider basis. And then at the very end of the course is an opportunity, once you've finished it, to download various resources that we've pulled together for you. And then, of course, you click finish. And at the end of the course, you'll get a certificate. But there's something really important within the course. So often, and this is not aimed at any one organization or group, or this is a general statement of fact. Very often I read a lot about rural crime. I hear about this has happened, that's happened, this has been stolen, someone's been beaten, the cows have been stolen or butchered in the field, my quad bike's gone, my GPS tracker unit's gone off my combine or my tractor. All of these things happen. They get reported. We get annual reports done every single year. There's a big report comes out telling us the scale of the problem and lots of little tips and tricks, which is all fantastic. What I wanted my course to achieve, though, is action. So at the end of the course, there's a section that can be downloaded, and it's a really straightforward checklist. And basically it says to the landowner or the farmer, the estate manager, the rural community generally, take this list and go and do it now. So based on all of the information you've just learned in the course, go and have a look at what you've got, look and identify your weaknesses. So it takes people through and around their premises, their farm, their estate, looking for the opportunities that the criminals look for. And you make a note of those, but then more importantly, we then allocate some action. So what are we going to do and when's the deadline? And within this course, we want people to do stuff at the end of it. There's no point in having all this information and learning and, a head full of great stuff if it results in nothing happening. And what I think is happening is there's a lot of talk about rural crime, and that's brilliant. But what's actually happening? Why are the figures the same every year and have been, give or take a little bit, for the last 5, 6, 7 years? Something needs to be done, and it's a multifaceted approach. There's lots of different agencies involved, and all of those are doing great stuff. But at the end of the day, while all of that great stuff is taking place, criminals are coming into people's property and they're nicking their stuff. They're terrorizing families and they're getting away with it, and they're shipping things off to the Middle East and Africa and Eastern Europe and all around the UK. Still happening, and it's happening on scale. It's happening big style. It's a huge problem. So my aim is to jump on and say, well, while all of that stuff is going on, why don't we now take some action today? You, the farmer, you, the business owner, here's your list. Go and do it. And if you've got any problems, give us a call, and we'll guide and direct and advise as required. So it's just common sense, We know what the problem is. We know where the issues lie. We've just got to do something about it. So that's me. I'm going to disappear now. So that's Richard Wade, ruralcrimes.com. In summary, new course coming soon, peer reviewed. I think it's really good. I think it's a great resource. The target market for that, the ultimate beneficiary, is the landowner, the farmer, the landed estate owner, the rural business or rural community. You are the beneficiaries of this course. But I would urge engagement and collaboration here directly with me. If you work in insurance, whether you're an underwriter or a broker, if you're a land agent, an agronomist, a rural accountant, a rural solicitor, if you work and advise within that rural community, if those are your trusted partners and they're your trusted customers, then let's work together, protect them. So I have various opportunities available for collaboration, and well, come and have a chat with me. I've got a great course, loads of information, and we need to get it out to the end user, but we don't really want the end user having to pay a fortune for it. So if you and I work together, if you're in those sectors, particularly rural and agricultural insurance brokers, if you're working in that sector, let's get in touch. Let's work together, you and I, as organizations, with the end game of making your customer safer, less fearful of crime, less likely to become a victim of crime, and also less likely to ultimately have to claim on the insurance policy and then watch premiums go up and suffer all that downtime and business disruption, all that, all the on costs, if you like, associated with rural crime that often don't get mentioned. We can work together on that, and we can do our bit to protect and ring fence that end user, give them that security blanket, put an arm around them, train them, teach them, give them advice, bespoke advice if need be. We can engage people to go on site. We can work together. We can put on seminars and webinars. There's a lot that can be done. There's a lot more that can be done, I think. So that's me. That's Richard Wade, ruralcrimes.com. I hope that's been of interest to you. Please feel free, get in touch. Give me a shout. I'm looking for collaboration. I welcome working with partner agencies in rural crime and risk management in general. So thank you so much for listening, and take good care. Go and have a look around your properties. Tell your customers, your clients, your friends in the rural communities to go and have a look around their properties and make it safe, make it secure.